future. Like, that's what's happening.
Isn't that blaming the victim? He cheats on her, she protects herself, she makes a boundary, and people are mad at her. Why not be mad at him and say, what the fuck? Why did you cheat on her? You hurt our show. You hurt her. You hurt the dynamics of our show and our livelihoods. Why is she getting blamed? That seems really fucked up to me.
Yeah. I mean, and then like the people that are doing it, like this girl Lala and this girl Sheena, I think they did blame him initially, but I think now it's like, you didn't speak to him. Our future is in jeopardy. We're mad.
It seems to me she's doing a good job of taking care of herself when no one else is.
Right. What about, no, I mean, I agree with that. What about on the Real Housewives of New Jersey? We have this woman, Teresa Giudice. I think you might know her, but she is dating this guy, Louie Ruelas, and he says he loves her. Now, there is a lot of rumors, like there's a lot of like, how did he meet her? And people think that he knew who she was, and there's a lot of theories that he hid in the bushes, she was running. You watch someone on TV, like you can know who they are, and there's a lot of theories that he's a dirty John, and dirty Johns prey on, weak and vulnerable, and he knew her and he stalked her and he met her. But he says he loves her and he's a good guy. Now, there's also a lot of lawsuits that are coming out against him. America doesn't like him. Like, there are a lot of red flags there. Like, when are too many? But she's standing by him. That's what she does. She says this is her soulmate. I can go on and on and on. He's a little bit strange. Like, when are too many red flags? Too many red flags? Or is it like we're the only two in this relationship and block out all the noise?
Had she been alone for any period of time? Like how long had she been alone before she met him?
So she, to make a long story short, was married to her high school sweetheart. He was doing some illegal things. She signed a piece of paper. They both she went to jail first, because of this guy, because she just signed, she didn't know what she was signing. She went to jail. When she was in jail, her mother died. She was very close to her mother. She got out, basically could not get over the fact, this love of her life, like that he did this. She lost time with her mother. Then he went to jail. He got out of jail. He got deported. He wasn't a citizen, technicality, but he wasn't a citizen. So he got deported, and then her father died. So she lost her love of
An
her life.
enormous loss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she,
And did she come from a family where there was like other like white collar crime? Like it seems like she's drawn to people with kind of a criminal background.
no, she didn't for white collar crime, but she was also, now she's officially estranged from her brother and his wife, but they were pretty much estranged before. So she really was. And I mean, she isn't the smartest one in the room, like just vocabulary. And so, kind of like, to me, an easy target. No?
Well, I mean, she sounds incredibly vulnerable that she's had the loss of a marriage, the loss of both of her parents, a loss of the relationship with her brother. Like, this is someone who sounds like she does not have a strong support system. She sounds incredibly vulnerable. And it sounds like there are some very questionable things going on with this guy. I only know like what you're sharing with me.
Yeah, and I'm trying to be like completely objective because
Yeah.
I don't want to like sway
Yeah.
you. People are now going to
Yeah.
say that I'm slanting it one way or another.
But I think that when you have enough people who are saying, like, I'm worried for you. And look, I get that sometimes the fans are feel so strongly that they can be a bit harsh in their delivery. But at the end of the day, they're saying, like, red flag, I'm worried, like something doesn't feel right. I think it's worth paying attention to. Now, granted, I've also seen plenty of situations where people have tried to destroy relationships. It was a hot topic on my show VH1 Couples Therapy with Dr. Jenn. Like we had multiple sessions where couples talked about how fans tried to tear them apart or create rumors that weren't true or like headlines that weren't true about them. So there's always this kind of these incoming missiles for couples who are in the public eye that you have to be aware of. But that sounds like a lot of information and a lot like a pretty consistent, concerning narrative that I would want to pay attention to.
Yeah, you should at least pay attention, right?
Yeah, and also look, there's nothing wrong with doing your own homework. There's nothing wrong with hiring a private investigator. If you're on a show like this, you can afford to do it and you can afford to do a background check, and you should. If you're in the public eye, you should be background checking people who suddenly show up when you're running in on the street and they become really interested in you. Like there are a lot of people out there who are looking to do things that are nefarious.
I always said that. I mean, again, I'm single, so maybe another reason why I'm single, but I always said that anyone, and I'm not saying I'm like in the, but I mean, I am in the public eye to some extent for doing
Of
this, not like
course.
her, but just in general, even if I didn't have this job, I used to practice corporate law and I was not in the public eye when I did that, but I would hire a private investigator no matter what if I
Yeah.
was going down that road with someone. I just would. Like, why not?
Yeah, look, it doesn't hurt to get the information. And also, it reveals to you how much this person is disclosing, because you may discover things and go, oh, they told me about those 10 things. Like, yeah, of course, he has a difficult past and he's explained that to me, and none of this is shocking to me. Or you may be like, oh my God, like, I had no idea. And we've been together for 2 years and he hasn't told me, like, what's up with that?
What about, because on the other side, he's very emotional and like expresses his love for her. Now, the naysayers do say that that's all part of the act of like, but why do so many, and that's why a lot of people think he's weird. Like, why do so many people still have a problem with like a grown man in his 50s just being an emotional creature?
Look, I am all for expressing your love. I'm all for adoration. I think that's great. And this sounds like a woman who could really use some of that. Look, who doesn't? But like, I think that it sounds like she's someone who could use a little TLC. It's hard for me to know if viewers are picking up on something that's real that feels inauthentic, or if it's just their biases about men and expression of relationships and feelings, but something feels a little off from what you're describing.
Yeah. Yes. And yes. I feel
Yeah.
something's a little off. Personally, I just
Yeah.
think if there's one thing, fine. But when there's a
Yeah.
whole bunch,
Yeah.
I don't know. If it were me, I would take a minute to pause.
Yeah.
What about like she is estranged from her brother? And, you could argue it's the brother. You could argue it's the sister-in-law. Maybe they would get along if there was no sister-in-law. It's such a complicated situation. But where are you on the like family issues? Like, it's like Teresa and Melissa and Joe or the other two. Like, is family, is blood thicker than water? Work it out. Or is it like you have, and they have tried. I mean, they are now at the point where they too, like Tom and Ariana, just filmed an entire season where they literally say like that's it, and no, everyone's calm now. Like they will just
Yeah.
never ever, this side is dead to them, your brother's dead to you, your sister's dead to you. They're just, it's been the new norm for like almost a year and a half, 2 years. Like, are you of the like, okay, that's what we have to do sometimes? Like, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, look, I actually just posted an article on my Twitter account about this. And I think that we want to do everything that we can to try to preserve our family. And to me, doing everything we can means family therapy, individual therapy, like all kind, like people who can help us communicate more effectively and work through the issues. I think that that's really important. And, I always like to put out when I mention therapy that a lot of people don't realize, because people say, like, well, therapy is really expensive. I can't afford therapy. But there are low fee clinics all around this country. In order to become a therapist, you have to do 3,000 hours under supervision. And you have to do it in a clinic setting where you get a supervisor who has 2 years plus of experience. So there are mental health clinics all around this country. A lot of them have waiting lists, which sucks, but get on that waiting list if fee is a concern for you. But to answer your question, I think that you want to know that you gave it your all, that you did everything you could to try to work through it. But sometimes you have a family member who is abusive, who is harmful to your mental health, and that you've experimented with making boundaries. You have experimented with saying no. You've experimented with better communication. You've asked them not to treat you that way, and they continue